The electron transporters we just produced now enter the electron transport chain. This is similar to the electron transport chain we saw in photosynthesis. Here, the energy from the high-energy electron transporters is used to pump protons across the mitochondria's membrane. As this happens, it creates a concentration gradient. That concentration gradient is a form of potential energy that we can use to generate ATP, just like the concentration gradient produced in photosynthesis. To talk about what's happening in the electron transport chain, we need to know a little bit about the structure of the mitochondria. The mitochondria has a double membrane. The citric acid cycle takes place inside the inner membrane. In the electron transport chain, we're going to pump protons into the space between the two membranes, again creating a concentration gradient. So let's look at this process. In the first phase, we use those high-energy electron transporters to pass electrons from molecule to molecule. Each time electrons are passed, a little energy is released. That energy is used to pump protons from inside the mitochondria to the space between the membranes, creating a concentration gradient. So now that concentration gradient is a store of potential energy between the two membranes of the mitochondria. Those protons want to get away from each other and move back across the membrane. So as they rush back inside the inner membrane, the potential energy is converted to kinetic energy. This kinetic energy is used to convert ADP to ATP. Remember that energy is stored in the bonds of ATP. So what's actually happening here is a phosphate group is being added to ADP, converting it to ATP. Now there is energy stored in that bond in ATP. So we produced a little ATP at each step in cellular respiration. But the electron transport chain is where most of that ATP is produced. In glycolysis, we produced 2 ATP molecules. We produced 2 more in the citric acid cycle, but we produced 32 molecules of ATP in the electron transport chain. Now the energy stored in those sugar molecules is in the form of ATP, which can be used by cells. Again, like photosynthesis, cellular respiration is a complicated process. You may need to listen through this lecture and think through the process several times to understand what's going on. Sometimes drawing yourself a flowchart or making flashcards for each step can be a good way to learn this.